Today I have a very special video for you because this right here is the BassTheWorld.com edition bass by AV Guitars. Let's check it out. If you are following this channel for a while, you should be very familiar with this bass here. This was built by my friend Vychodil, a very capable luthier out of the Czech Republic for me. And prior to that, I got to review lots of his basses for German magazines, also for this channel here. And at some point I just had enough and I wrote him, stop teasing me with all these amazing basses, just build me one. And he built me pretty much exactly the same bass as a 5-string with a couple of changes. And I played it for a while, and then I got in touch with him again and said, hey, I think we need to do a second one because there's some changes that I would like to try out. And yeah, this is how this whole project got started. What I wanted this time was a 4-string with a slightly thinner rosewood fingerboard. I think 4-string is very obvious because if you're familiar with playing lots of jazz basses and P basses, you might know that 4 and 5-string basses don't sound exactly the same. 4-string, of course, being the traditionals, having been around since the 50s or 60s in the jazz bass case. And you can, of course, play 5-string basses if you need the low B, and it's a lot of fun, they feel great, but if you're listening closely and you know how 4-string P basses especially behave, what kind of dynamics they have, how punchy they are, you will know that 5-string can't really deliver that because they have more neck wood, obviously, sometimes even a little bit more body wood, and this changes the physics of the instrument and also changes the behavior a little bit. And I like the 5-string that I had a lot. But I wanted to have this, a little bit more punchy sound that you just can only get from the 4-strings. So that was the first thing. The second thing with the rosewood fingerboard is mainly because the rosewood that Alice is using on his basses is relatively thick. He's using a lot more fingerboard wood than many other brands, and in this case with rosewood, this is a wood that dampens the sound of your bass. It's basically like pulling a blanket over your bass amp. This is almost the same effect, which is nice. It gives you the warmth and a certain sweetness, which is really cool. But for my taste, it was a little bit too much. It sounded great, but I wanted to have the bass to have a little bit more highs, a little bit more treble, to be a little bit punchier, and this is something that you can achieve if you have less of the rosewood. So he built me this bass. After a couple of months, he sent it over and I tried it, and I liked it a lot right away, but I wasn't like 100% convinced, so I had to try some changes. First of all, I got in touch with him again and say, hey, can you send me one of your regular 4-string AVPB, I think that's what the series is called, necks. And yeah, he sent me one and I put it on the body and installed it and played it for a week or two. And this was a little better, but not quite what I was looking for. And what this bass did not have anymore is this amazing playability of this one, because I think he took something like 1 millimeter of a fingerboard away, and this made this bass a lot slimmer and this neck just so much more comfortable, which I got used to and I fell in love with this right away. So I swapped it back and I thought, what else can I do? And I remember that I had somewhere in my attic or somewhere I had an old P-bass pickup that I got out of a swap with another pickup at some point, and I just put it in for fun just to see what happens. And also right at this time from DR Strings the Pure Plus sets came out, and they sent me a bunch of those to try them out, and I thought, hey, why not put them on the bass right away to see what they can do. And I installed all of these things, made a setup, the bass was ready, and I plugged it in, and it was just like the heavens opened. I was so happy. This bass suddenly came to life. It was so good. I believe I almost cried. I've been looking for a perfect P-bass for the studio and for me for so many years, over 10 years actually, and I bought so many of them, I think 15, 20 basses probably over all the years since I started playing bass. And I had a lot of great basses from Fender and from many other brands, but none of them was 100% what I was looking for. And when I tried this final combination for the first time, I knew, okay, this search is over, you can lean back, just enjoy the bass, and let's go to work. We've been using this bass in pretty much every amp and pedal demo and any other video where we could just fit it in somewhere, and it just works in every style and every whatever we did, it just sounds perfect. It delivers exactly what I was looking for. If you play it hard, you get like a nice punchy tone, lots of snap, the maple comes through, and you have kind of a lot of brightness that you want in this kind of case. If you're playing it soft, it has this nice warm mellow sound. It's just the perfect hybrid between all kinds of P basses that are out there, and this is something that I prior to this bass didn't know that this could even be possible, because usually I took a maple neck P bass before for the hard stuff and something with a rosewood fingerboard obviously for the mellow stuff, and this bass for some reason has some magic built in that it can do both, and I think it's just the perfect chameleon kind of P bass. And I've never played something like this before. This is just amazing. And also I have of course a lot of bass players here, not only the demo guys that are coming here to play my basses in the videos, also a lot of guys that are just coming by to try some gear or to record their own stuff, and usually they try all my basses to see what works best for a certain song or for a certain sound, or just try stuff here. And basically everyone who's playing this bass fell in love with it. So at some point I thought, maybe we should make this available for others too. And so I got in touch with Alice again and I proposed to him the idea to make this some sort of a BassTheWorld edition bass. And he liked the idea, so we got to work and started to figure out how we can make this happen. First, I really had a hard time to figure out what pickup this is, because this is, I don't know what it really is. It's differently made than any other P bass that I've ever seen. It's a little bit weird, but finally I found the paperwork from the original guy who bought this in the first place, which he sent me with the pickup. And so I finally got in touch with the maker, which is just a little German custom shop here who's hand making all the pickups, and this is an overwound model. And yeah, so once we had this sorted, we could finally start to build the series. As we started planning the series and discussing all the little details that go into such a build, Alice suggested at some point that we need to, or we should at least imply a little optical change, because this bass feels different and it sounds different from the standards that he's building, but it still looks exactly like the AV PV basses that he's doing for years already very successfully. So he thought maybe something very simple that we could do is just change the cover of the pickups, which I like very much right away, because I also have this bass here. This is a Sang Mustang from the 80s, a fretless bass that I bought from eBay many years ago, which sounds absolutely amazing, and it has these cream colored pickup covers. So I thought, yeah, maybe we can do this too. So this is a little homage to all the beautiful P basses that I'm using here at the studio. However, that's more than enough backstory. Let's finally get into the specifications. Those aren't too wild as you can imagine. We have a 2-piece European alder body, a 1-piece American hard maple neck with a AAA Indian rosewood fingerboard. The finish is a vintage white nitrocellulose gloss lacquer, and the neck is kept in a natural satin finish. I definitely prefer vintage style bridges on P basses, but don't mind easy access to the strings, which becomes handy when you're changing them, so we went with a hipshot vintage style bridge. The tuners are of course hipshot ultralights. The frets, 20 of them, are medium jumbos for super comfortable playability. The fingerboard radius is 12 inches, which is a nice compromise between a vintage Fender and a modern Ibanez and Sandberg kind of feel. Another important feature for me, the trussrod is accessible from the body, which I prefer for quick setups without the need to loosen the strings. Also, we have a string retainer for all the strings on the headstock to provide perfect string tension. The weight of this bass is exactly 4 kilos. Of course, the materials used for this bass are only the best that you can find, but this is something you could say pretty much about any custom high-end builder out there. This is nothing too special today anymore. What I really appreciate about Alice and the work he's doing is that he goes beyond that what many other custom builders do, because he's even checking the wood density to make sure that these basses exactly have the same density, sound the same, weigh the same, to make sure that the series and the single models are not too different from each other. Of course, these two basses, mine and the new one, don't sound exactly the same, but this is mainly because mine is 2 years old already, has a couple of hundred hours of playing time in it, and this changes the inner tensions, changes the resonance in the woods and stuff like this. But they are very, very close together, and I believe in a blind test I couldn't tell them apart. I'm super happy how this project turned out, and it's now finally available for others to buy as well. Of course, I'm well aware that not everybody is looking for exactly the same. People have different preferences when it comes to playability, feeling, sound, of course, of a bass, weight, a lot of little things. But as I said before, I have lots of bass players coming through here at the studio, and they play all my basses, and everyone who plays this and gets this one in the hand falls in love immediately. I've seen this so many times that I'm convinced that we are onto something special here. Also, this bass is receiving nothing but positive comments on YouTube whenever we're using it in the videos, and if you're following this channel for a while, you're well aware of what this bass is capable of. So I think I don't have to say much more, because otherwise I will just say 10 more times how proud and happy I am how this turned out. Let's just leave it there. You can order it now, and there's just 2 more things that should be mentioned. First of all, it comes in a super awesome and very high quality mono kickback, which is nuts. But yeah, this is just alles, really cool. And another cool thing is there are a couple of little things engraved on the plate and on the headstock. It says, keep on bassing the world, for example. That's really cool. And that's it for today. If you're interested in buying one of those, just get in touch with Alice Vychodil. I will link Alice's website in the video description below, and if you have questions, you can also, of course, get in touch with me. I will gladly get back to you. If you have any comments, anything to say, or any questions, you can of course also put them in the comment section here. I will answer those too, and if you like this video, don't hesitate to smash the like button. That's it for today. See you next time, and have a wonderful weekend or whatever you're doing with your life. Bye bye.